All right, guys. This one should be pretty quick for you guys. All I'm doing here, just kind of showing you how to move things around, adjust things, make things look the way you want. Um, so you have all of these options to fill out your web page and make it look the way that you want to. For now, for this video, I'm just going to use the placeholder. It's nice and simple. It does exactly what I need to do to show you guys how to move things around, how to resize things, things like that. But just know that you don't need to use the placeholder. You can use the placeholder if you're trying to build things out, but you are more than likely going to be using more of these building blocks here, maybe some image carousels, some collapsible groups. There's a lot of different options that you're going to be using. But for right now, we're going to stick to the placeholder. So we're going to put a placeholder in. Now, when you select an item, whether it be a placeholder or anything else on here, it's usually going to default off to the left side. Now, when you do that, if you see the blue box around, that means that you can edit it. So if you click anywhere in the middle of it, like in here, you can drag it and move it wherever you want on the screen. If you get it to the middle, you'll know it's the middle because these three lines will show up to tell you that you're in the middle of the three sections. Over here, you're on the left of the three sections. Over here, you're on the right of the three sections. For right now, we'll just throw it in the middle. Now, let's say I like this placeholder, but I'm not a big fan of the size. If you go to these blue boxes, you can shrink it down, you can make it different shapes, you can make it bigger. There's all sorts of things that you can do. When you resize things, though, you do need to replace them. So if I want this one in the middle, I've got to replace it in the middle now that I've resized it. Now, you can add more. We'll add another placeholder, and it automatically is going to default to a new section. You'll see right here, there's a line, a little dotted line, and that's to indicate different sections. So if I want multiple things in the same section, let's say another placeholder, you can drag things into the same section. So we just went from down here where you were in two different sections, and all I did was take this box and drag it up into the same section. And there, you're in the same section. Now, you can also, they give you some tools for resizing. So if I resize this one, now this one's kind of out of whack. But if I decide to resize it, you'll see that as I get closer to the correct side, over on the sides of the boxes, you'll see a little indication. It kind of snaps to them being the same size. So to make them the same size and make everything uniform, you just want to try to snap it to that size. And there you go. You've got two placeholders that are now the same size. Now with placeholders, if you click this little plus button, you can add things you can add things to it later. So if you're just trying to like judge like the spacing of your page, placeholders are great for that. Now, if you want to separate things, you'll come up with something like a separator. Now, a separator is just like any other block. It's going to show up as its own block. And what you do with that is on you. Now, to move blocks around, over on here, there we go. Over on here, this side, you see there's some dots. Those dots are just telling you that you can move things. So if you click on that dot and drag it, you can drag that spacer in between these two blocks. If you want this block down below, You go to the blocks, drag it wherever you want to drag it, and you're done. Now our spacer's up top. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense for a spacer to be up top though, so I'm going to delete that. Now let's say I want this spacer, oops, I didn't mean to move that. Let's say I want this spacer to have a text box attached to it. So I can go to Insert, and I can go right here to Text Box, and I can insert a text box. And now those same dots, if I can get it to show up, those same dots right here tell us what? That we can move it. So if I want a text box, but I want it attached to a specific thing, I can drag it and boom, we got a text box attached to this. If I don't like it there, I can move it to this one. If I don't like it there, I can move it to this one. If I don't like it there, I can scroll all the way up. Oops, I did this wrong. It's going to show up wrong. I can scroll it, and I can put it at the top of this box. You can move text boxes anywhere you want. If you go here, it's going to change it to this. If you don't like it there, you can move it around. So for right now, I'm going to delete this one again. And that goes for any of these items. So if we have this, we can move it around. We can decide where it's going to go on our page. We can look at we can look at the placeholder boxes and change their size. We can look at the text boxes and change their size. We can move the text boxes around. We can even move the whole block of text boxes onto a different part of the page. That is pretty much the basics of how to set up and design things in Google Sites.